I did actually.
Well,
Yep.
Ding dong.
you're about to receive something.
Okay. I'll take it. Awesome.
There's a package coming in.
Okay.
Wow.
And
Hello.
Hey,
bro. Hello. You got some bear fuzz on you.
What are you talking about? That was a wild animal.
and just while we're trying to fill space, the poll is in, and 67% of people said Jared looks young. And I just think that's really important. That's really important to know.
That is important.
Did you guys like bracket 2 responses?
Pardon? No. It's actually me on my phone.
Oh, jeez.
So talk to us, Cal. What's in front of us, and what are we doing with it?
Now, this is a spectrum board, Jared. And it's called Spectrum, as I just said.
Yep.
And I'll be reading out a series of statements, and you'll place yourself along the line based on how much you agree or disagree. So,
okay.
Jack, behind you, where Baby Yoda is, Grogu, there is some stuff deodorant. So if you could please bring that down for us.
Oh.
I'll take the item.
Actually need a little.
Oh, a little top.
Now, what I will also say is, Andrew, if you can please grab 2 stools so Max and Jack can sit in a bit closer to the desk,
Thank you, man.
and then the others can just be on the couch.
Nice. Thank you. Good.
Oh, look at that. Thanks, delivery.
Yeah.
Delivery guy.
Getting wow.
My guy, delivery guy.
All right. All right.
How good is that bird's eye view shot? Jack?
Yeah.
Put your hands in. Put your hands on the board. That was so good. Okay. First statement.
So I just want to say as well, chat, this is a conversation with you as well. So when Cal says the statements for the spectrum, you can type where you sit. You strongly agree, yeah, nah, and just, jump it in the chat, and then also explain, why you put yourself there. Why are they your beliefs? Or maybe even comment and respond to our beliefs here at the cave. Thanks, Cal.
Beautifully said, Jazz. First statement. I like being the big spoon.
Hang on.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
Legsy, talk to us, mate. Come on.
Otherwise, it would be jetpacking.
For me,
Just to repeat. You said otherwise it would be jackpacking.
Jetpacking.
I thought jackpacking was the same with Jay.
good call. Man, I think I like Big Spoon, and the reason for it, I mean, career-wise, like I'm a nurse and I care for people, and maybe internally that's me like wanting to not protect, but like, I just want to give like a big warm hug, and I want to be like, love you,
Yeah.
And my girlfriend, rarely will she give me the big, rarely am I the little spoon. So I've got to double down.
Because he's 7 foot tall.
You're quite tall, yeah.
Friends, is it okay, Max and Jack, if you could just scooch in a little bit further, just so Jack, Jack, even just keep going.
Awesome.
Just a little bit more. Just a bit.
He's up against the lounge.
Okay, that's cool.
Right.
Just become the lounge. Okay,
Awesome.
continue.
Yeah. I love you, Georgia, but maybe you could be the big spoon a little bit more. But for now, I'm here, man.
Max, talk to me. You've said somewhat disagree.
Yeah, somewhat disagree. And maybe this is like another height-related one. I'm not vertically challenged, but I'm not like super tall. So I feel like it's usually a nice balance of being the shorter person that does feel cared for. Maybe I do come home at night and I'm like, you know what? I do need a cuddle. So, but yeah, I'm always open. I'm always open to being that carer as well.
I love it. Yeah. Oh, I think they're great answers. Do you reckon we just fast forward to the next one there, Cal? We've got both sides of the spectrum answered.
We do. Thank you so much, everyone.
Nice. Hand,
Points will be rewarded
hand back in, hand back
at
in.
the end. Yes, deodorants out, please.
I'm
Stuff that
thinking
matters.
as well.
Purchase your local Woolies. Okay.
Want to make sure we
The next statement is, people feel pressure to perform in the bedroom.
feel pressure to perform in the bedroom.
Lost a cap there.
Yeah, I just wanted to
Wants to be different.
be distinct. Cass.
I've gone with not strongly agree, but agree. Because I was thinking of different types of people. So I think a lot of people, like probably the overwhelming majority, and we hear it all the time in our workshops, and all the research kind of suggests that people feel so much pressure to perform when they're in some sort of sexual experience. And that comes from so many different places. A lot of the time it comes from the media and pornography, kind of depicting these really unrealistic depictions of sexual experiences with people with penises lasting a really long time, or certain things happening that don't necessarily happen. And especially young people then see that and they think, wow, that's how I have to perform in a sexual experience. And no wonder they get like so wound up with, oh, I can't do that, my body doesn't look that way, etc., etc. The reason I put agree rather than strongly agree is that I think we're in a time where young people have more literacy than ever before when it comes to watching things online. And I'd like to think that people that are in really, like, I don't know, safe, committed relationships maybe don't feel that pressure as much because they can communicate with their partners. Communication is key.
Would you say, because you obviously work in the space, it's mostly a boy/man thing? Or
No, definitely not. I think a lot of young boys and men feel a lot of pressure to perform sexually.
yeah, that was a word that stuck out for me.
You know, and we hear a lot of ads around like erectile dysfunction. A lot of people have heard of that term before, but a lot of people haven't heard of sexual dysfunctions that people with vulvas experience, like dyspareunia, vaginismus, that often go unspoken about, and they're types of pain disorders and things like that. But body image is such a big role to play in the pressure young people feel in sexual experiences, and that affects everyone of all genders.
Okay.
So I think
it's multifaceted.
I think it affects people differently,
Yeah.
depending on who they are.
Yeah.
But potentially young boys and men get spoken about more because it's the classic, like, lasting a long time pressure that they feel.
For sure. For sure.
It's funny, I was actually just thinking, I think I actually want to move to agree because you've actually changed my mindset on it being everyone. But I think to a friend of mine from high school and like some of his early sexual experiences, he would say to me, like, oh, do you ever really struggle with like your foreskin at all? And like, just a really innocuous question. I'd be like, oh man. And he'd be like, all right. And he had this real pressure about him because he, for whatever reason medically, just had a funny foreskin and had to go to the doctor, and he had this need over his whole like young adult life where he was just in his own head saying like, why am I like this? Why can't I do this? Why am I this? And he just needed someone to say, bro, you're actually normal. This is normal.
Totally.
For whatever reason, I think that he had a pressure to perform, which was just from that society base of men do one thing.
Yeah. Or look one way, and like that's the only way they can look or perform or act. Anything other than that is not normal, which is just not the case because every body is so different. Yeah.
And Bo's coming in saying that a lot of people feel pressure because their peers, that they will hold them up
To them performing.
like a challenge to do, like how'd you go, how was it, like this melting pot of pressure on this moment. And I think you said something great off screen that I'd like you to say again, like performance versus connection, like what are we there to actually do? Can you explain that?
Yeah, so if you're looking at that performance and you go, again, like going into your bedroom experience with your partner on that particular day, and you want to have performance in your mind, and you want there to be screaming, and you want there to be the fireworks, and you want there to be this image that's portrayed on porn. Okay, cool. That's great for you to have in your head. Question for the group. Does that ever happen?
Rarely.
Not for you. Not for Jackie Lloyd. And I think about, for me, like, the thing that I am really, like, big on is just that connection piece. Like, laughing, like, mucking things up. And for me, I'd much rather have connection with my partner than a performance that I could go and tell my mates about. Because why am I going in a relationship where I'm just worried about performance as opposed to the person?
Yeah.
And porn doesn't show those things. It doesn't show people just like laughing and having fun when like sexual experiences can be awkward and silly and like different noises and smells and like it's so normal. But none of that's ever portrayed.
Yeah.
But it's so normal.
And the communication piece that's a part of it as well, which again, looking at that connection piece, like so many things are based around assumptions of what people will like or enjoy. When it's like, you have such a great resource of what someone likes because they know.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think like back to this too, it's more like, it's social pressures that we've from the media, from your peers, but it's also that desire to want to do well for your partner as well. And like you want to go into that and you're in your head and you're like, well, maybe I don't actually know really, not that experienced, or maybe I don't really, you only see what you see in the media or movies.
Yep.
And so you're in your head about it and it's like that you're putting that pressure on yourself sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, man, 100%. And I relate to that. And what I found is using that classic, name it to tame it, or say it to slay it, and bringing that into,
Yeah, can you say it again? That was
So
a bit of fire.
say it to slay it. It's some clicks in the room for that.
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Thank you. I'll take it. And hands in. No, but it's again, how do I get closer to the person I'm with, engaging, connecting? And the way I do that is by saying, hey, I'm actually really nervous. This means a lot. I want to impress you. I want this to be as awesome as the dinner we just had. And every time in that scenario for me, the person like, oh, I really want this to be special as well. And by you telling me that, I feel closer to you. And even just jumping on this stream, we're all feeling nerves to perform and say things correctly. So we come across and help you educate in something that we find value in. But again, it's like within the imperfection, within our stories, within stumbling there with our knowledge, but also with our honesty, I'm sure you on the other side of the screen feel a lot more connected to us as well. And so this is practice in every relationship, every situation. When you're nervous, thinking you have to be something, say it. Be honest about it, and know just by you being there, that's already the thing you need to be.
Do you want the air horn noise on that? Gee.
Jara, I was so close to giving you points, but your microphone scratched against your necklace. So.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's cool. I just need to say something to slay it. No.
So painful.
Smell the deodorant.
It is. It's great.
Oh,
It's
wow.
actually stuff that matters. Smooth operator.
Please.
All right. Next question, Cal. Yeah. Stuff that matters. Shameless plug. Get it. Support the man cave and all that we do. Thank you.
Proud plug. Proud plug.
Okay, are we ready for the next statement?
Sorry about that.
It's okay to have sex on the first date.
All right. You took the longest to put it
Yeah.
down. That's you,
Oh.
Cass.
There's so much going through my head. I'm going to preface this by saying everyone's got different values, religious beliefs, family beliefs, etc. If everyone involved in the sexual act is 100% of legal age, absolutely on board. Consent is there. You've talked about protection, contraception, etc. If everyone's feeling 100% comfortable, it might be okay for those people. The main thing in any sexual experience is that everyone is feeling safe, it's consensual, it's legal, and it's comfortable. If that is the first date, then that's cool for those people. For some people, it won't be the first date. For some people, it might be weeks, months, years till they're married, maybe not ever. Some people never ever want to have sex, and that's also okay. So for this, there's not really a right or wrong, provided everyone is absolutely feeling comfortable in the situation.
Yeah. Georgia will be watching this from her office. Hey, George.
Hey, Georgia.
Hey, Georgia. She had to wait for the third date for me. And I was really intentional, and I've always had in my life that I don't want to have those bedroom experiences with people that I'm not like I don't feel like I need them in my heart. I need them to be like a part of me. And with Georgia, I love her dearly, and I feel like waiting that time absolutely helped us just have the most and still now have the most wonderful relationship that I've ever had. And I've put my can here on agree, because if you want to on the first date and you feel comfortable, you do you. Like, going into it with respect, going into it with that comfortability, and actually acknowledging what both people want in that scenario is the most important thing.
Totally.
And if you hit those markers, tick, tick, go for
Yeah.
it.
I think there's a lot of pressure on people to be like, oh, like I've got to wait for a certain number of dates, or what if I, you know, am I a prude if I don't do it on the first date or whatever it is. There's so much pressure around it, which is coming from so many different places. But I think the main thing is that everyone's going to have a different idea of what they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing to keep in mind. And obviously your part.
Agreed. Kelly Bar?
Kelly Bar.
Well said, everybody. Next statement. Talking about consent ruins the mood.
Talking about consent
Ruins the mood.
ruins the mood.
Ruins the mood.
Certainty.
Jokes. All right.
Oh,
Leave me by myself.
Sorry. Actually, for me, it's what I choose.
Influenced.
Talking about consent ruins the mood. Jack, talk to me.
I've got Peach there throwing a disagree, and I'm in exactly the same boat. I feel in myself that if I'm not talking about what I want, then I'm not having a good time, flat out. Whether that's me saying to the boys, like, hey, do you want to go for a motorcycle ride this weekend? That's me talking about what I want. Hey boys, like, do you want to go and get a palmy at the pub this afternoon? Absolutely. I'm talking about the things that I want. And it's exactly the same if I'm in the bedroom. Like, why wouldn't I talk about what I want? And if I'm talking about, hey, can you kiss me? What's that kiss? Is that like on the cheek or is that on the lips? And I have this story that I tell on consent where, I was probably 18 and we had this one particular hall back home where all the 18ths were. Everyone was just plastered. And so I was with my girlfriend at the time, Matilda. True love, true love. That real sort of like, yeah, until Georgia.
Hi, Georgia.
Hey, Georgia. And so I'm in this situation where I'm going to the party and I don't like having in myself, I don't like having experiences of PDA, particularly at that time. And so I went into that party, I was a very forward-thinking 18-year-old, and I said to Matilda, I'm feeling a bit nervous going to the party. I feel like I want to try and push through my boundaries, and I feel like almost tight in my body when I'm talking about it. I'm really comfortable to hold your hand, and I think I'm comfortable to hug you. But I know that if I go into that and I give you a kiss, I'm just going to shut down. That's not going to be good. Anyway, party finishes, everyone's out the front waiting for their lift, and like these floodlights are on. Funnily enough, there's some floodlights on here. And it was like just a clearing was made and me and Matilda are in the middle. And all of a sudden, she just grabs me, gives me a huge smooch. And I was in this situation where I'm like, my girlfriend's like doing this thing that I don't want her to do, but she's doing it, so like I kind of got to go with it. And I feel awful, like a pit of my gut, it feels disgusting. Everyone's cheering, yes, Jack, Legsy, wow. And I get in the car and I like start crying. And I'm like, that was the worst. Ooh, I feel yuck about it now. That was the worst experience I've ever had. Why did you do that? I told you not to do that. And she was like, oh, I thought it'd be nice. Everyone knows that we love each other. You know, everyone knows that it's true love. I was like, yeah, but I said, I don't think I want you to do that. And like, that was my boundary. Anyway, it ended up going on and like continuing through the relationship where like the boundary just wasn't safe. And yeah, I had this really like kind of yuck experience. And I talk about it in my workshops now, but was that an experience where it was like, oh, that was a bit of a regrettable situation, like I just regret the kiss, and maybe Matilda does too? Or was that actually like sexual assault? And then what does that look like if that's like the next level up? And what does that look like if that's the next level up? And what does that look like if it's like the thing? It looks really bad. So for me, like consent is sexy and you've got to do it, because otherwise you're breaking someone's trust. It's like there's a human at the end of that, you know? And that human was me. And I still feel yuck about it now. Like I remember just howling on the way home. Yeah.
Thanks for that story, dude.
Nice, bro.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think for me personally, that's like the perfect answer. And thanks for bringing that into the context of, even in relationship where it's like some people think just because you're a partner, consent's always, but it isn't. And how brave are you to have had that conversation with your partner, but also the other partners or people out there that don't feel brave because maybe they're with a man who's double their size. And it's like, how do I tell him this? Or I don't want to disappoint him, or this is a moment that I know he enjoys.
Yeah.
And so, coming back to, from the perpetrator or the person who's doing the wrong thing, it's like, what are the cues? Have somebody told you something, or is their body telling you something? Are you kissing them and they're not really responding in this moment? Well, that's the time to stop kissing them and really respect them and what they need, for sure.
And I don't think she did it with like malice or like a negative, wanting to attack me and do something to me. I think she just didn't know.
Yep.
And I tried to give her that boundary, and for whatever reason, she just wasn't able to honour it. Thank you, Shroud. That is, I've felt that way for a long time. Peach, I'm sorry you experienced that. And it's more attractive when the person's asking and making sure I'm okay. Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that whole connection into it ruining the mood. No, it makes the mood.
Makes the mood.
You're able to have that open communication around what you enjoy, what you want to do, and what's going to feel comfortable, which means that people can go into it knowing they're going into it consenting and know that they can also change their mind through that as well.
Totally.
Or they can also communicate, I thought I was going to like this. I don't actually. It opens that communication channel.
I think it's really important that we're having these conversations and you're sharing examples, because I think this consent is sexy perspective comes with maturity, and we're kind of already through that weird, awkward teenage phase where we're all adults here being able to share. But I think it's worth acknowledging that for young people, it's not as easy, or even acknowledging that consent is sexy as a young person. Like, you're still trying to figure out what it is, what it means, and it can be awkward in the moment to say, can I kiss you, or is this alright, or do you like it? So I just think it's worth acknowledging that like, to the question, does it ruin the mood? Sometimes it could. Like, sometimes you could feel so awkward about having to ask that you're not into it anymore, or whatever it is. But I think with conversations like this and exampling these stories, hopefully more young people can get to that point where, like, consent is definitely sexy.
And I think we said it last week that, like, yes, maybe asking it would feel clunky or maybe a little bit awkward or whatever it might be, but the alternative is that someone walks away crying from an experience because their consent boundaries were violated, they weren't checked in on, they weren't asked how they were feeling. And so the idea that consent ruins the mood, it's like, what mood are you going for if you don't want to ask for consent? Because it's probably not the right mood.
Yeah.
And it's even just looking into, your the first few times that you do it, it might be that feeling of being uncomfortable and it being a bit awkward, but it's like, that's not related to consent. That's just related to doing anything for the first time. Like, the first time you do something, it's always going to be maybe a little bit like foreign, or you're like, the first time you do something at your job, you're like fumbling and you're like doing stuff and you're like, oh no, like, that's not directly related to consent. It's just getting comfortable and getting that a part of your practice. So if you practice and do it, you'll find ways that do feel comfortable for you to do it ongoing.
Such a well-rounded couch we have here, Team Kevin and crew. And Bo's jumping in again. I feel like you're with us here on the couch, Bo. And from what I'm seeing is that, consent brings you close to that person. And again, all of these are perspectives and things to take into your life and practice. See how it feels, how you can get better at it. Not just do it for the first time, but do it again and again. Know that you're going to get better as you mature, like anything. And how do you ensure that it's a way to strengthen your relationship? And, the risk of not doing it is far greater than it being awkward. So, Cal, talk to me, Bella. Yep.
You're so good. You'll get a point. Rejection is hard to deal with. Rejection is hard to deal with.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, oof. Who wants that one? Because it's live.
Rejection's so hard to deal with. I think we were talking earlier about setting your boundaries and telling someone, no, I don't want to do that. And that's great for the person setting their boundaries. You absolutely should be doing that. For the other person, it can really suck. And it's really easy to take it personally, to think that if someone doesn't want to do something with you, it's a reflection of you and, oh, I must be an awful person, or maybe they don't like me. And that's a really valid feeling. It's so normal to feel upset, maybe a bit frustrated. What's not okay though, if it is for someone to get rejected and then be angry and use that anger to be like, oh, come on, please, and pressure that person. Because if we're thinking about affirmative consent, we know that it's a yes means yes. And if someone is not saying yes, it's absolutely a no. So rejection sucks and can be really hard. Unfortunately, it happens all through someone's life. It doesn't make it easier, but it just means
doesn't
that
give you the permission to push those.
it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't give you
So
the
like all
permission.
feelings are welcome, but not all behaviours are welcome.
Absolutely.
And it's about owning that and yeah, like rejection is hard in every circumstance, and especially if you really care about the situation or you've really worked yourself up, or even if it's just as simple as like trying to ask someone out and like you've thought about it for weeks and like all day you're amping yourself up, your palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. you're like working yourself up to ask the question and then get met with a no. There's a real like, I think, skill to be developed when like in accepting no, and you have to be okay with hearing no to have positive relationships, I think. So
Phil in the chat is asking, does it ever get easier?
Look, I would say with rejection, there's some maybe examples that you have within your life that kind of allow you to kind of unlock that power within rejection or that kind of understanding through rejection. And I feel like one for me is like getting rejected from a job. Like you've applied for a job, you've gotten the no, and you're kind of like, oh, but there's usually a bit of feedback around, okay, well, you know, it's because you didn't have as much experience in this or knowledge in this. And it's kind of being like, okay, well, I didn't know that before. Now I know this, I understand this, I can take this into the future. And it's kind of looking at that in those different examples. You know, maybe you ask someone out and they say no, but they let you know, hey, it's because, you know, I'm not really looking for a relationship. It's got nothing to do with you. I'm just kind of not ready. And then, you know, you understand. Awesome.
And I definitely think it's circumstantial too. I couldn't go as far to say that rejection gets easier. And I don't even feel qualified I'm on the cusp of 25. I'm not qualified to say that it gets easier at all. But I think when I think of rejection, I think of like developing your resilience as someone with self-worth. And I think that when you have a lower self-esteem, maybe rejection can feel really bad. But if you take a step back from the rejection itself and like really work on yourself and your values and who it is that you want to be as a person, especially in positive relationships, especially when it comes to affirmative consent, that if you are more focused on yourself and like your positive intention, that you can start building those tools of resilience to take the rejection in better ways. So maybe it's not that rejection gets easier, but maybe there are ways to develop coping with rejection that becomes easier.
Yeah.
Got Shroud in the chat, strongly agree. It opens up more ways to deal with rejection and you get another shot. Peach, I've always struggled with rejection, even in dumb scenarios like asking someone to hang out and they say no. It feels like a pit in my stomach. Same here. And I had such a pit in my stomach when, after that scenario with Matilda, we went out to Taco Bell and we had a conversation about the boundary being crossed, and she just didn't sort of know what was going on, didn't have a process. And I had to ask myself the question, like, is that the person I want to be with? And my answer was, strongly disagree. And so I broke her heart. But that was me rejecting something that I don't value and keeping stuff that I value. And I value someone that keeps my boundaries, you know.
So huge. There's so many things I just want to pick up. It's like rejection can be a redirection on how you get better at things. How does it give you the breadcrumbs, that loaf that you're chasing, whatever that analogy is. And you know, rejection is so important to own and feel and know it sucks hard, but it doesn't okay behavior towards the person that rejected you. It's like by them saying a no to you, they're saying yes to them, which is really important. And that when you are in a position to give someone a no, it's important that you give it if it's true for you, not like allow shitty behavior because you're scared of hurting their feelings. Like no, rejecting someone is for you to do because you're protecting your boundaries. And we're coming back to that part of the chat I think the only other thing I want to land on there is like, don't stop yourself from putting yourself out there because you're scared of being rejected. And that's a big thing for me to say. I am so scared of rejection still. Lindsay said he wouldn't do something for me today. And for a little bit, I was like, oh, that really hurts, you know? And I had to like give myself this same pep talk of like, no, you're doing what you need to do for you. And that's what I would want if I needed to create a boundary as well. And so ask the question, go out there, be really respectful. And if you get rejected, not great, that sucks. But what can you do with it to allow you to be where you want to be next time?
Reset. Points to all again. Congratulations.
Well, is anyone tracking these points, Cal? I feel like I don't want you to get confused. And, you know, as far as I'm counting, it's me on 3, Cass on 2.5, Max isn't registered, he's registered 1 point, Sue's on 0.7, and Jack's on 1.5.
What is 0.7? I'm out here with points.
There's so much intense echo when this comes on. Chat, it must sound pretty wild on your end. Anyway. Hello?
Okay.
Next statement.
Next
and yes,
statement.
I am tracking. It's all in my head. The rate of false sexual violence accusations is high. The rate of false sexual violence accusations is high.
Gonna double tap.
I think for this one, I'm not going to pop my can on the board, just because it's not something that I have clear knowledge or understanding of, and I don't want to give any wrong information by answering this question. So just for that, I'm going to keep this one here.
I did strongly disagree, even though this is a really big fear, especially from a lot of young boys and men that we hear through the work that we do at Elephant Ed all the time. And it's valid because people feel it. And so if someone feels it, obviously it's a valid fear. But it's important to think about how real and how likely is this fear to actually happen. A couple of things to note here. The first one is that in Australia, the rate of like false accusations or cases that are deemed false when it comes to sexual violence sits at around 3%, which is quite low. And most of the time they're deemed false, not because they're actually false or made up, usually because there's either not enough evidence to convict someone, because obviously in our country you have to have evidence to prove someone's guilty. A lot of the time people actually withdraw their claim because going through the court system and detailing their experiences of sexual assault, it can be super traumatic for people. It can drag out for lots and lots of months, even years. And that's typically why something would be deemed false. Something that's really important to think about here is that 3% in terms of the rate of false accusations, that number is actually no higher than any other crime. And so let's say the rate of false accusations for stealing a loaf of bread from Coles would be around 3%. And the rate of sexual assault offences deemed false are also around the same. So whilst it's a valid fear because people feel it, it's not so realistic because it's honestly not something that people need to be worried about. If they know the consent laws, if they know that they need to be checking in on their partner, they genuinely care about the person, and they're seeking consent not only before but during, and then debriefing the experience afterwards, there is nothing to worry about.
So true. And you think of like, there's a statistic that I read, I think it was in Chanel Contos's book, shout out. And it was something that spoke to men are 200 times more likely to have something bad happen to themselves than they are to be falsely accused of doing something bad to something else. I'm purposely leaving the word something bad out, and you can insert it as you want. But like, there's some serious stuff going on where, okay, there's a feeling that there is fear, and I get that. The actual answer is, it doesn't happen. Like, it just, not here, not anywhere. I acknowledge like workshops that I do with, particularly with young men, they really shout out and they say, I'm so fearful of having something said. And like, they don't even want to go into relationships because of it. But when I sort of, again, like echoing everything that you've just said, Cass, like when you throw them that sort of stuff, like you're more likely to be accused of stealing a loaf of bread than you are. Come on, man!
Yeah.
Like you got to treat that person with respect, and you're good to go.
And people don't walk through like the bread aisle of Coles being like, oh my gosh, like someone's going to accuse me of stealing this. But something that this discourse does when people constantly say like, oh, she made it up, or, you know, that's not true, it actually stops people who have experienced these forms of violence from coming forward and actually like reporting what's happened to them, or even just telling a friend or telling a trusted adult, because maybe they're scared that, one, they either won't be believed, or two, they'll be blamed for actually what's happened to them, which we know is never ever the case.
And something else, like something to consider, is why would someone lie? Like Australia is different to other countries in our judicial system, where we don't have like incentives for people coming forward to tell that, and it's actually quite a traumatic experience for someone to have to relive the details of an assault, for example, and have to go through every step of the court system, you know, talking to police, and then it takes months and months and months. Our court systems are so overfilled that this would drag out for so long for someone who's actually really experienced this. It's such a laborious task to even report that the chances that someone would falsely go through all of those steps are not very high.
Yeah.
I think a key point there, Susie, is like in a country like America, when someone like would sue someone for $1 million or whatever and have a financial gain, that doesn't exist in Australia. So if someone is lodging a report, it's not for any sort of money. Like that's not how it
they're
works.
not gaining anything from it.
Yeah.
Shroud's chucked in the chat. I don't know much about this topic and I'm only voicing opinion, but strongly disagree. Falsely accusing someone of sexual violence is never okay because the topic is really bad and holds a lot of weight. Like it creates a lot of terrible things if we just don't have a line in the sand and we say we're lying about stuff. It's not the case. Like, what motive is there to lie?
Yeah, I think I really shout you out for putting your perspective in there, and that's really brave of you after what everyone's saying here. And I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Doing that though, wrongly accusing somebody of a violent sexual act is wrong. And we're not saying that that isn't wrong here. We're just looking at the fear surrounding it, how likely it is to happen. And through knowing that, we can get rid of that tense energy that boys especially would be holding. And I think when we're holding this energy, being scared of something, I feel, whether it's rejection or doing the wrong thing, I'm more likely to make a mistake because I'm so pent up, I'm so scared, I've got all this energy in me, and I'm forgetting that I need to be thinking about the other person in this scenario. I need to be paying them respect, practicing consent. If I'm using the tool of consent for me rather than being scared of it against me, I'm not going to be in a scenario
You're spot on.
that's going to really damage somebody and myself. So, yeah, bringing that in. Max.
Big thanks to all my co-hosts. Maybe I can pop this one on behalf of me and all the people in the Twitch stream. Now we've built our understanding.
I disagree.
And just for the those playing at home, I'm definitely on strongly disagree. I also didn't know the stat, so I didn't want to act like I knew it anyway. And I just want to shout you out that as well. I think commonly we always have to have an opinion on something. And for you at home, like if you are ever in a chat, whether it's on Instagram or with your fam or with your mates, and you feel like you have to have an opinion, sometimes the coolest thing to say is, I actually don't know and I'm here to learn. And so I just want to shout you out for that.
And a few in the chat did that as well by just mentioning, I think it was Peach, or I want to read it right. But someone just, Shroud Finder, just saying, again, I don't know much. It's just that like disclosure of like, hey, this is my opinion, this is what I'm like thinking and feeling. But yeah, I'm willing to understand more and listen.
You don't have to know everything, but it helps when you try and find stuff out.
And also saying or talking shit and pretending like you know something and like actually like it closes the door on an opportunity to learn. So fully embrace saying I don't know and opening your ears to listen is such a high value thing to do.
So I think this is the end of this game of Spectrum. Am I correct in that, Cal?
That is correct, and we're going to go to a short break.
Last little shimmy in the middle. Hey! All right, we'll see you soon, chat. Thanks for jumping.
Hey chat, want a chance to win $500 to spend at Culture Kings, JB Hi-Fi, Nike and more? Just fill out our survey to enter the raffle. Each time you engage with our streams by asking or answering questions, you'll earn extra entries. Complete our follow-up survey at the end of the series to lock in your tickets and boost your chances to win. Plus, we're giving away a $50 gift card every stream. So stay tuned for more chances to score big. Back to the episode. We're back.
Yo! What up, chat? We are like basically in the last 10 minutes of Is This Okay? A 4-week special stream here on the Man Cave on Twitch. This is your last chance to fill out a survey, get yourself involved for that epic giveaway of $500 that we'll be announcing next week. And of course, anyone that just jumps in now and puts your thoughts in the chat, you put yourself in the running to win $50 that we're about to spin in T-minus 5 minutes. We're about to jump into some anonymous questions. That's where questions that have been asked from teens get asked to us here. Share your belief, but don't share your stories because we can't support you in the way that we'd want to. Callie Bob, talk to me, baby.
Sorry, I was having some audio issues.
I still wasn't.
They kind of heard you.
They kind of heard me?
Okay.
Too soft. Lol. That's
Ooh,
great.
Too loud a second.
Gazman.
Nice. We good.
We're good.
Thanks, G-Funk.
Nice. Thank you.
Is G-Funk your partner?
Nah, that's Gazmania.
Yes. Azzy. What's up, G? Good to see you, brother. Nice. All right. Talk to us, Cal.
All right, we've got some anonymous questions coming in. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
I find a man attractive. Am I gay?
Potentially.
Maybe.
Potentially.
Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. I think like attraction, like you can find someone attractive doesn't necessarily mean that you're attracted to them. And like attraction is always something that we can explore. It's something for us, especially when we're young, we should have that kind of agency to be able to like understand our feelings a little bit more or explore what that might be like. So it could be that you do experience that attraction, you're attracted to that person, but maybe gay doesn't feel like the right term. Maybe you look at other terms, maybe no terms feel good. You don't need to use labels. That's
Yep. I think that's a fantastic answer.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Get it.
Load us to the next
Now
one,
we
Cal.
have
We're ready for the next question.
Chat, I'm just working out Jared's audio. Just decided to not.
It's interesting, isn't it? It literally happens all the time. That's okay. No, you actually don't. There's actually other people on here that can deliver. I was just trying to go for the win, to be honest, personally. But that's fine.
Actually, you holding it like that's perfect.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Don't let go.
There we go. Next question, Cal.
Okay. Well, I just fixed everything.
Oh dear.
I keep getting erections in class at random places. How can I make it stop?
Welcome to puberty, bro. That sucks. And be there.
I really want you to do this. Welcome to
Welcome to puberty, bro. I got used to you. Good to have you here. That's gonna last a long time. And it kills me now. Sometimes I'm walking around here and whoa, what's going on? And then I think I have a like the Avatar when he flashes back through all of his lineage, every single ancestor he's ever had, like that happens in my brain. I think of me at 14 walking in school and I'm like, oh, where's my pencil case?
Yeah.
And from then on, I would never leave anywhere I'm walking without my pencil case, just in case. It happens, man. Like you've got hormones that are floating around your body and that's normal. And I don't really think anyone's noticing. Like, if you need to, for me, it took a really long time, but actually just using my brain to focus on other stuff, some deep breathing. If I had to, not like go for a run, but if you had to just very quickly like do a few squats or like do a push up, just literally even tensing your calves, it moves blood away from that place.
Yeah.
So lots of little tricks to the trade.
Bo's sharing a trick to the trade. Pull a wasty.
Hey!
Pull a wasty.
On you, Bo.
In the chat. Awesome. So awesome. It is such, as a guy, it is, yeah.
Yes.
Wow. My high school experience going, oh my God, it's math. Why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
I've just been asked a question and I've got an erection.
Yeah.
It is not fun at all. But I can't believe that tool. Like just by moving the blood around, it
Just
actually
redirect blood flow.
redirect blood flow.
Redirect it.
Science, man.
Totally.
Man.
Science.
maybe you have a science book and you can
Okay.
If you're that well endowed, of course you can.
Feeling underqualified to talk on that experience, but as someone who was once a 12-year-old girl trying to get through school, I definitely was not aware of the boys around us struggling with that. So I think sometimes you might get in your head about things and be really self-conscious and think that everybody can see what's happening, but I can promise you from my experience, I was completely oblivious. So I hope that's some consolation for you.
Yeah, I love that. All right, Kelly Bar.
Next question. Is there such thing as flavored condoms? Apparently someone in my class licked one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Short answer, yes.
Yeah, sex ed.
Yep.
They exist.
Yeah.
And there's a variety. There's banana, there's strawberry, there's blah, 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 whatever. I'm just going to put my safety hat on very quickly. Check the box, because sometimes the flavored ones aren't meant to be used for anything other than oral sex. Full stop. Be careful. If they break, it's not a good time.
You should always check the packaging anyway, obviously for expiry dates. So flavored or not flavored, always check the packaging.
In the back of my car, this is so random, I have a bag with over 3,000 condoms, 2,000 of them out of date. Because when I'm doing workshops, I'm just, put these on the bananas, put these on the bananas. But I have to be really careful not giving them to anyone, because they won't work. And you've got to be really careful on condoms that have got packaging that's spoiled. There should be like a little air cushion in them. And if it's not there, you've got to think maybe this has been sitting in the sun for a while, could be out of date, could be ripped. It could even actually be like a stealthed condom as well, where maybe they've had a hole put in it.
Explain stealthing.
Yeah. So stealthing being going in to have sex and someone agrees to have sex with you with a condom and removing it. And them not knowing about it, or damaging the condom and them not knowing about it. It's illegal. Like, it actually is, correct me if I'm wrong, is it sexual assault?
It is a form of sexual assault
Yeah.
violence, and it's now illegal in Victoria, New South Wales, and Queensland as of earlier this week as well.
Yeah, really, really important one for so many reasons. So yeah, it's also like coming back to consent. Okay, somebody said, yeah, I want to have sex with you. You still got to like ensure that you're asking if you're going to be removing that condom or not. And even coming from sex ed, of course, there's, sexually transmitted diseases. There's a lot of health checks that you have to go through. You have to be aware of that before you commit to that, and also, potential for pregnancy. But of course, like if somebody's consenting to one thing, it doesn't mean they're consenting to another thing as well. And being really aware of that. And there are repercussions. And these laws aren't something to be scared of. They're there to protect you and to help you protect others.
There was a time when, like, I remember I was using condoms and one of them blew up. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just going to have to go get another one. Didn't work either. Split again. I'm like, gee whiz, I'm going for the third. Split again. And obviously I've just got a dud box.
Yeah.
So I had to say to that person, sorry, actually not going to be doing this tonight.
Absolutely.
And they actually had a bit of pressure on me, saying like, oh, you sure you don't have any? I was like, nah, and we're not doing it.
Huge. So just quickly, chat, we are going to be going a bit over time. We just have such juicy answers, and we want to give you as much as we can from this important conversation, not just about sex education, but consent and how it shows up in your relationships and how to practice it. So stick with us. We're still doing the giveaway after we jump through a couple more anonymous questions.
Nice.
We do in fact have one more. The question is, how old do I have to be to buy condoms?
Again, throw it to the expert in the room. And the expert in the room. I don't want to give any answer on that.
No age restriction. Period. You can go and buy them at any age. Now, granted, if you go into the store, you might have someone that looks at you a bit sideways. Okay, cool. Also, when you buy them, you might feel a bit awkward. Cool. You need to go and get them. And if you can't get them from the shops, go to your local doctor's office, go to your local wherever that has a supply.
Is it library before?
Yeah, libraries have got them sometimes. I saw a condom bookmark once, and I was like, how'd that work?
That's so
Just in
great.
case.
You know, it's a thrilling story. 100%. Thrilling story. I need protection from what's going on. And if you're in that situation, just get a hold of them. I would be mindful of the fact of when you're having sex, and probably a really good plug for you, Cass, but I know here in Victoria, we have laws that are really specific on the age for consent, and they actually do extend a little bit further to protect other people as well. But
Yeah.
did you want to talk to that?
Yeah. So in terms of like the age of buying condoms, as mentioned, like there's no age for them. You can get them from a pharmacy, the supermarket, 7-Eleven sometimes sells them as well, a petrol station. But there are obviously consent laws in Victoria. They're different in every single state. So here in Victoria, there's a set of laws. In South Australia, there's a different set of laws, in New South Wales, and they're all totally different, like totally different, which is really annoying and frustrating. But if someone was going to travel, I don't know, on a holiday to go to another state or go on schoolies at the end of school, and they're going interstate, those consent laws apply. So if someone is moving to New South Wales or traveling to New South Wales consent laws apply. So obviously people need to be across what are the laws in that state. In Victoria, the legal age of consent is 16. There are some defences to this rule that are there to protect young people who are 12, 13, 14 and 15. Under 12, any sexual act is never okay. Full stop, like absolutely no exceptions. There can be exceptions through those ages between 12 and 16, but the legal age of consent is 16 in Victoria.
And my guys just put in the chat a link so you can follow it.
Nice.
I know there's a lot of information coming at you, chat, and how lucky are you to be getting this for free through this stream? But grab these sort of resources that are popping up on the screen. And of course, we're learning so much here. We're getting to have these conversations that we don't normally get to have, especially for you to us and us to you. But know that, like, I like to think of this stream as the practice ground, where we have these conversations where we learn, but you also get to take it out there. Have these chats with your mates, have these chats with, your parents if they're open to it. Keep this conversation going so you can make sure that you really embody this, not just for yourself, but also your next relationship as well. That was the last question, Cal.
Crazy.
That is correct.
How good.
And do you know what that means?
That means that you were going to announce the winner here on the couch. Who is? Oh, that'd be great. Yep, I believe that's what you're doing. So, chat, staying with us here now, we're going to do two things. We're going to announce the best on ground here on the couch, and then we're going to give away a $50 gift voucher for you to use however you would like to. So it's just the spin of the wheel. So please stay in the chat because we'll spin it. If your name pops up, we're giving it to you, and we'll need your email as well. So now Cal is approaching the mic again. Cal Cam, I know it's not on him, but he looks great, Team Cabot and crew. Kelly Barb, talk to me. Who is getting the final trophy here on the final episode of Is This Okay?
Wow.
This is big.
Oh, damn.
Thank you. Congratulations. It's actually a tie between 4 people.
Wow.
Oh!
That's amazing. That's
Congratulations, Max. Congratulations, Cass. Oh, that's awkward.
Oh, the universe is telling you to get 2 more, Cal. That'd be great. 2 more.
Come on, bro.
No, he's got 2. He's got 2.
Oh, there we go. Great.
Congratulations, Susie.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Jack.
Oh!
And congratulations, Cal Jarrah.
Yeah. How good is that? Man, that is awesome.
These
That
are
is so cool.
Wow. This is so cool.
Oh, so great.
Sit here with it.
I think it
Welcome to
only
it.
feels right, us, earning these awards from sharing things that we've learnt along the way, but also I always like to say I learned what I had to be taught, and I think it'd be really cool just to whip around real quickly and maybe some final words from us on the couch about maybe this conversation, final bits of wisdom, or maybe just how this experience has been for you. Okay. Now, every time I do this, you know which way it's going. Max, C-Bomb.
Yeah, look, I think one of my biggest reflections is really looking at how consent works in situations in regards to like sexual interactions, but also consent more broadly, looking into consent around information, consent around what we share and what we don't share, consent around friendships, consent, is really built into everything. So I really love being able to share what that can look like in different situations, and hopefully just help equip all of you as much as it's really helped me understand from different perspectives as well.
I think for me, we've spoken over all the streams that Elephant Head have been part of, and every org is around like the amount of pressure that young people feel to like be a certain way and just get it right and be perfect. And I think something that has been really a big thread in our conversation is that like talk to your friends, talk to people around you, because a lot of people are feeling the same way, and it's important that people are talking about it, and knowing that what they see online is not a reflection of how they need to be in real life. And it's just been great to have different orgs and learn from different perspectives and different people, and creating this space together has just been really great. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I want to echo that too. It's really cool to be here all together. We all share different perspectives and come from different life experiences. And I think my reflection on this consent talk for myself, but for young people listening at home, is to really check in with yourself when it comes to boundary setting, and really knowing what it is that you like and what you don't like, and knowing that it's okay to say no, and knowing that your boundaries are yours. There's nothing too strict about having your boundaries that are yours. And then an extension from that, sort of on the rejection, is that rejection can be hard, but also you need to be okay with that rejection and be okay with receiving a no, and that all emotions, all feelings are welcome, but not all behaviours are welcome.
Leave it real strong. Like looking at this today with these people, like the conversation doesn't have to finish here. It can actually just be not getting your group of mates and like sitting in a circle and saying, we're going to talk about consent, but maybe just like throwing it into a conversation of like, what are some boundaries that like you struggle with? And I know for me, like, I don't particularly like people touching my face. And sometimes I have to remind people, I'm like, don't touch my face, bro. And people are like, oh, why is that? And then I tell them a story about how in primary school, it was the Lion King, Wildebeest was Jack, and I was pinned down by a few teachers and had face paint put on. And that was like, ugh, I don't like that experience. And now I'm able to tell people like, bro, I actually don't like people up in my grill, and this is why.
So great. Yeah, thank you all for being a part of this and really bringing your wisdom, both from your lives, but also from your epic organizations. Yeah, I love being on Impact Lane with all of y'all. Now, speaking of giveaways and what we've earned for taking on this conversation, we're about to give away $50. So, my man, Gally Bob, for those of you still watching, we're about to spin the wheel. It's spinning. It's already spinning. No, it isn't spinning. It is spinning. And it's spinning. Go spin it. There we go. Get Lixie. All right.
Congratulations, the Cave M.
What? Yes.
And Jared, just a reminder that the $500 voucher will be announced next week.
Yes.
Yeah, that's later.
That's later. Yes. Congratulations, Cave M. You're a legend. You're a VIP here. And I'm so glad you got a reward, not just for this stream, but for always rocking up and sharing your perspective. So great. And as Andrew just said, we're going to be announcing the $500 giveaway next time we're on stream, which is next Tuesday at 4 p.m. here at the Man Cave on Twitch. On behalf of all... Is that correct? Is my mic okay? What? A later date. Nice, awesome. So not at that date, but we'll update you on that. But again, on behalf of all of us here, thank you so much for joining us, not just in this conversation, but this epic consent education. As Jack said, bring this into your life, bring it into your relationships, bring it into your conversations, because, what once was awkward will become natural the more that you practice it. And this is what we were all about doing here today. So thank you so much. That's all from us. wave your hands. That is more than okay. That is us done. See you later. Take care. Bye. 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 Legends.